You're listening to a Frequency Podcast Network production.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Welcome to Wednesday. My name is Brock.
I'm Dalby.
Old Dougie Ford was out in Washington yesterday representing our country. Did you see that?
I did see him standing up there looking all suited up, ready to take on Donald Trump.
During his press conference, he said this.
I want to further integrate our energy and electricity grids. People don't realize, as we stand right here, right now, we can deliver from Ontario electricity as far south as Florida. In just a moment's notice, we can flick on the switch or flick off the switch. I prefer flicking on all the switches and encourage more exports of Canadian energy and electricity to the U.S. to power your economic growth.
You're totally right. He did almost.
He
swear
went
did
from
it.
political Doug Ford to being very close to being like, I'll flip off all this shit.
Let's see it.
Flick on the switch or flick off the switch. I prefer.
Oh, wait.
That was it.
Was it?
In just a moment's notice, we can flick on the switch or flick off the switch.
here.
I prefer flicking on all the shit.
I prefer flicking on all that shit. Where did that Doug Ford come from?
You know, love him or hate him, you gotta respect the balls the guy has to go down there and at least say something.
I mean, that's just it, right? It's like you have the premiers almost like banding together like the Canadian Avengers to try and stand up to Donald Trump right now. Because Trudeau's in France, I
Yeah,
guess?
he's gallivanting around Europe right
He's
now.
doing something
He's
while
checked
still
out.
technically he's absolutely in checked out mode. So, out of all the premiers, old Dougie's the loudest one for sure. Which is like, it's good to have someone like that on your side, but also you have a petulant child on the other side. Doug's gonna say something.
He's poking the bear pretty hard.
Yeah, like one of these days he's gonna be like, I'll turn all that shit off, and Donald Trump's gonna be like, oh really? And now a debate between the two of them would be fascinating.
You know,
But-
screw all these Jake Paul fights. I want to see a Doug Ford, Donald Trump boxing match. I would pay pay-per-view money to watch that.
No, we can't do that. How old is Doug Ford?
I don't know, maybe close to 60?
I think, 60 feels about right. Donald Trump is in his 80s, I'm fairly certain. You're asking for a Canadian premier to go to America and beat the shit out of an old man.
I think that's what we do. We have Doug Ford fight Donald Trump. If Dougie wins, no tariffs. That's how we settle it.
No, because 100%, this is Donald Trump. He's already done this whole song and dance when he was in WWE. He got a wrestler to represent him in the ring. There's no way Donald Trump at his age and his physical, he can barely golf. You're going to put him in a boxing match?
Golf tournament. Dougie Ford versus Donald Trump.
Do we trust Dougie's handicap? Do we know what he shoots? Can he bring down Donald Trump on the links?
I'm sure you get a few beers in him. He's probably rolling pretty good. Buck of beer would help out.
Have him play out in Oakville?
Yeah.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
I was watching the news last night, and there was the story about a lady from Whitby, Ontario, who got scammed by a psychic. Here, I'll just play the news clip. Listen to this.
When she did the reading, she found there was a man. I said, yes, there's a man I like at the gym. And she said, well, I can bring this man closer to you. And I was like, okay, for $550.
Intrigued, she paid the money, but what followed in the months ahead were requests for more payments to make the love connection happen.
He transferred $12,000 to $15,000, but she said she preferred cash. So I was dropping off a lot of cash at her
Gets
house.
worse.
In total, she gave the psychic more than $50,000 over the course of a year, but the romance never happened.
If everything was going so great, I said to her, why isn't anything happening for me? All I'm doing is paying you money.
Should we feel bad for this lady?
I feel bad for this lady.
You shouldn't.
Well, because listen, she's clearly dumb, but like, she had hope.
As an adult, it is up to you what you do with your money. And also, let me say this. If that was me, if it was me that was saying I was trying to buy love, I wouldn't have made the news. You would have been like, this guy's creepy as hell. If I was like, there's a girl at the gym.
And I paid $50,000
to get with her?
to make her like me. Yeah, you're right.
If you want that kind of companionship for $50,000, you can order someone on the internet.
Well, that's, for $50,000, you shouldn't be paying a psychic. There are people who will take your
You
money.
can get a mail order groom from Russia.
More direct results, so to speak. $50,000. I mean, honestly, even that first thing, because that's the psychic thing, right? Is like, just keep things super vague. Oh, is there a man? Mm-hmm. Oh, there is a man in my life from the gym. And then she goes, I can bring him into your life for $550. I'll be like, I'll be alone forever. I'm not giving you $500 so that someone looks at me while I'm lifting weights.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah, she just She kept doing it for like 2 years, basically. So
$50,000 is so much money to spend. And then for her the line too, she's like, I just kept giving her money and I wasn't getting anything in return. It feels like there were so many places to stop before $50,000.
The craziest part is having like the balls to go on the news and talk about it. Imagine going on a date with this lady in the future and you find out that she spent $50,000 on this.
You're on like a blind date. A friend of a friend hooked you up. You get to the restaurant, you're like, aren't you the chick from the news with the psychic?
I don't mean to be rude, but whoever does end up with her, that's true love. That's true love that she's looking for.
It's fate. The $50,000 is not wasted. It just hasn't kicked in yet.
It was a long-term investment.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Have you ever used a psychic before?
I have had a tarot reading.
Oh, the cards.
Yeah. Where they just kind of like flip a card over and they're like, oh, this is some big event that's going to happen in your life, when it just looks like some guy getting stabbed. And you're like, well, that's probably not good. But what do you mean that's actually a good thing? Like,
did you get stabbed, or did anything from your tarot card reading happen?
No, I don't think so. But like, it's the weirdest thing, because I remember just I was at my friend's mom's place, and that's already kind of like, it feels like she's just testing it on us.
Sketchy, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's kind of one of those things where you do think about it for a while, but then, I do think people have that sort of power. I just don't think that I want to know my future necessarily, as somebody who does already deal with a lot of anxiety. I think I'll just let things happen as they happen.
If they really are psychics, you think they'd be better at gambling? You think they'd have more money? You think they'd have a better location and not in like a strip mall somewhere?
If this woman's really got the gift with the cards, she shouldn't have to be at your mom's kitchen table doing tricks.
Well, hey, maybe it is the people in power that have all those psychic abilities, right? Maybe.
Elon Musk is psychic?
No, he's just an alien.
Thanks for chatting, Ashley. I feel like if you call up a psychic or you go to a psychic, they should know your name.
That's just it. Although even then, we live in a world where every phone has caller ID.
Damn it.
So even if someone on the other end picks up the phone and is like, hello, Drew, I'll be like, yeah, sure, I didn't block my number. Sorry.
A real psychic should be able to know the last three digits on the back of your credit card before you tell them.
Oh, they will know. They'll figure it out.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
I found a home down in Beverly Hills that's for sale.
Didn't catch on fire?
I didn't catch on fire. No, it's still in good shape. I love looking at just ridiculous houses. This thing is up for sale for nearly $12 million. Apparently owned by a plastic surgeon who has a clinic in Beverly Hills, which I have to assume makes him more money than God.
Oh, for sure.
But then also clinics over in like Dubai and stuff like that. So this guy's...
He got money.
He's good.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, it looks like it was designed by Willy Wonka. Like, look at these colors and all this stuff. Like, every single room here...
This looks like an acid trip.
It's just crazy. There's a living wall in the house. Like, it's covered in actual moss, and they have to water it. They have to keep it alive.
Damn.
For it to work. But I'll show you this room here.
Is that a ball pit?
This is a ball pit.
Is that a ball pit room?
It is listed on the listing for this house. It comes with a ball pit room.
Does he have kids, does it say, or is this an adult ball pit?
It does not mention anywhere in this whole article, which, by the way, is from Mansion Global.
Because I'll say this, an adult ball pit would actually be kind of sick.
I don't know if a ball pit for grown-ups is cool or if it's kind of gross.
Okay. Imagine this. You had a stressful day.
Yeah.
You come home from work. You crack a beer, and you just go lay in your ball pit and watch the game.
You know what? That is kind of part of it. This room is just white. Like, there's nothing else in there. Put a couple screens in there, a nice stereo system or something like that. I think you could have something.
You get to chill in there with the dogs or something, man. Oh, honestly, in general, an adult playground, like somebody needs to make that happen.
Ooh.
If I ever get enough money, that's what I'm going to do. An adult playground, ball pit, slides, everything.
Is an adult playground not just a CrossFit gym? Is that not essentially what they do there?
Nobody's working out. I think we should be allowed to go to our own park as adults, be able to use the slide, the swings, and have a beer.
Well, I was going to say, okay, so let's talk about this. What's in the adult playground? You got just like a big slide.
Yeah, teeter-totter, whatever.
Adults on a teeter-totter is never not funny.
You have one of those things that you speak into and it goes to the ground.
Oh,
to the other
underground
side.
pipes?
Yeah.
Dude, when I was like 8 and found one of those at a playground, it blew my mind.
As an adult, dudes can vent about their wives and stuff, you know what I mean? Not get in trouble.
Just shouting into the abyss with all of your problems.
Adult playground would be so sick.
Grown men will literally do anything to not go to therapy, including shouting into playground pipes.
When I win the lottery, Brock's Play World is going to be a thing, and you're all invited.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Well, come by and check it out.
First drink's on me.
If I'm ever feeling stressed, I'll come yell in your pipes.
Yeah, just don't puke in the ball pit.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
You were saying, like, you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Going to just, like, public playgrounds. But Justice, I don't think he has to feel weird about it, right?
My wife enjoys going on the swing, so every now and again, I gotta go to a park.
See, I don't think swings count, though, because swings is like a romantic thing, right? You and your wife sitting on a swing, you're just going back and forth, peaceful, enjoying the world go by. I don't think it really counts unless you're up there playing grounders or something.
Adult game of grounders?
I won't play grounders. Come on.
That would be so awesome.
Now we're just talking about parkour.
A game of freeze tag, but you're only frozen because your back went out?
I'm locked up over here. See, you don't have to feel awkward going to the park, although I do think to your idea of an adult park, you're going to need, you know how like pools have lifeguards?
Yeah.
You're going to need some medical staff to pick up people like me.
I feel more comfortable knowing that Justice and his missus go to the park. But
right.
Imagine you take your kids and you see me and a bunch of my buddies just like running around. You'd be like, we're not going there.
You know what? You're actually right. I'm thinking, even if it was just one person and you saw them just like do a quick rip on the monkey bars, be like, good for that person for like maintaining some youth. But if me and the kids all roll up to the neighborhood park and you and like all your Milton friends are there playing a game of grounders,
going down the slide or something.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what, kids, maybe let's try the other park.
We're like spinning kids on the tilt-a-whirl and stuff.
maybe this is their park now. We'll just let them have it.
Goes from very cute and innocent to stranger danger very fast.
Very quickly.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
We live in a world where we are just constantly shelled by ads nowadays. You know, obviously you have TV, you have radio, you have newspaper ads. Even now when you get your streaming services, Netflix, Amazon, Disney all have ad tiers now.
Dude, the amount of times I'm on Instagram or TikTok and I don't even realize I'm watching an ad sometimes.
Just getting blasted with ads in everywhere you go. Well, now the ads are coming for your car. Have you heard of the company Stellantis? Apparently, they are the company, the parent company of Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler, and Ram. And apparently, in their new infotainment screen, basically the digital screen where your radio, your navigation, all that stuff is, they have started putting ads in there.
That feels dangerous.
Yeah, in new Jeeps, owners are reporting and complaining that they are being hit with ads for things like Mopar's extended warranty service. Get this, every time the vehicle comes to a stop. So it won't happen while you're driving, because I feel like that's what you were thinking, like right off the bat, that's distracted driving. It's not that, and they're not playing sounds yet, at least, but whenever you stop the car, your screen will stop displaying either your map or your songs or whatever, and will give you a full screen ad that you have to tap, like a touch screen, or use a button to hit the X to go back to being able to see what's normally on there.
So is it when you stop at a red light, or just when you're parked kind of thing?
Anytime you stop at a red light, anytime you stop at a stop sign, anytime the vehicle comes to 0 kilometers an hour, you get a pop-up ad on the screen.
I hate that. I own the vehicle.
That's just it. Because how do I make this go away? Do I need to pay a subscription service to Jeep to make the ads go away in the car that I've already spent 5 figures on?
That's so cringy.
Who told you could put ads in my car? But so that's the thing. People started complaining. Someone reached out to this Stellantis, the head company, and they said specifically, well, this is part of when you signed the
contract,
like the
package
to buy the car, you agreed to this. So once again, burying things in the terms and conditions. And now if you own a Jeep, again, this seems to just be on like the newest models, but you may have to deal with getting full screen ads in your car.
It'd be embarrassing if you start getting like targeted ads in there.
Right. It's one thing for them to be like, hey, here's ads for like service companies or for parts.
And then
or
all
whatever.
of a sudden it's like eHarmony. You're just reminded that you're single.
Out for a casual drive with the missus when an Ashley Madison ad pops up on the screen. Honey, I don't know where that came from. The kids must have been picking music in the car the other day. I did not do this.
It's a Jeep thing. You wouldn't understand.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast. It's time for Brock and Dalby's Draft.
Everyone's talking about the dream lineups that are in the Four Nations Cup. And so today we are going to do a draft. If you could pick a starting lineup for a hockey team, all-time players, who would your starting lineup be?
So I get the first overall pick. Explain to me what our 3 rounds of the draft are going to be.
Okay, so first round will be your 3 forwards.
So all at once I'm picking center, left, right.
Yes.
Okay.
Second picks will be your 2 defensemen.
Okay.
And then third is obviously goaltender.
Okay, so I did get the first overall pick thanks to rock, paper, scissors. So I mean, right off the bat, you have to take Wayne Gretzky as your center.
Yeah, I knew you were going to do it.
You have to take Wayne Gretzky as your center. And then, especially with everything that's going on now, I feel like left wing, you go Alexander Ovechkin.
Okay.
And then I think we all knew that I was going to take Mr. Hockey, Gordie Howe, on my right wing.
Solid pick.
So I've got Gretzky, Howe, Ovechkin, my up front 3.
All right. My first round picks, I am going to go Mario Lemieux.
Yeah. Oh, if you can't get Gretzky, you go Lemieux.
Okay. I'm going to go McDavid as well. I know he's a centerman, but we'll put him on a wing.
Okay.
And then I'll also take Jaromir Jagr as well.
I had Jagr. If I couldn't get Howe, I was taking Jagr.
I think if you have the connection between Lemieux and Jagr and then McDavid out there as well.
I get taking McDavid because he's a generational player, but you're just going to leave Brendan Shanahan sitting on the bench? Crazy.
That's okay.
Crazy.
That's okay.
Okay, so round 2, we're on defense now. And again, I mean, not only my wing's biased, but one of the greatest defensemen of all time, I take Nick Lidstrom.
Damn it.
You have to take Nick Lidstrom.
I knew you were going to do that, yeah.
And then number 4, Bobby Orr. Lidstrom and Orr, like, my defense is impregnable.
That's awesome. Yeah,
absolutely.
Solid picks. I think I'm going to go Ray Bourque.
Okay.
And I'm going to go Scott Stevens.
Scott Stevens is some grit on your blue line.
Ray Bourque, a defensive forward as well. And then Scott Stevens, just a great defenseman who can lay the body as well.
I'll tell you right now, though, we're in 2025, right? We're talking about putting this lineup together now. The rules of the game are changed. Scott Stevens is spending a lot of time in the penalty box
He's got some adjustments to make. But he's looking for those suicide passes.
And then, I hate to do this because I literally hate this person, but if you have the number 1 pick and you're picking the greatest goaltender of all time, I'll say Patrick Waugh.
You're going to go Patrick Waugh?
I'm taking Patrick Waugh.
You're going to go Patrick Waugh over my pick of Martin Brodeur?
Yeah, no, pretty easy.
The winningest goalie in NHL history.
Great, yeah, he played more games. That's great. Patrick Waugh's a better goalie.
Olympic legend.
But Martin Brodeur was on better teams.
Martin Brodeur is a way better goalie than Patrick Waugh
Crazy
ever was.
Crazy. I wouldn't
ever was.
I didn't even have Brodeur as my backup pick.
What?
I would have taken Dominic Hasek had you taken Waugh.
Wait, you want that guy rolling all over the ice, letting pucks in?
Some of the highest save percentages in the history of the NHL? Yes. I would have taken Terry friggin' Sawchuk before I took Martin Brodeur. Get out of here.
Run through your lineup here.
All right, up front, Wayne Gretzky, flanked by Gordie Howe and Alexander Ovechkin. You got Nick Lidstrom and Bobby Orr on the blue line, and Patrick Waugh in net.
I got McDavid, Jagr, Lemieux on the forwards. I got Ray Bourque and Scott Stevens on defense, and I got Martin Brodeur in net.
At least Martin. At least to pronounce his name properly.
Martin Brodeur. I don't know, man. I'm pretty happy with my picks right there.
No, I mean, listen, I'm Team Canada, you're Team USA. You're happy to be in second place. That's great.
I've got a gritty lineup that can score, that can lay the body, and I'm not worried about goaltending.
You're going to be shorthanded 90% of the game, and then my players are just better in every category.
Yeah. Till Scott Stevens blows out Bobby Orr's knee for like the 100th time.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Man, I cannot catch a W in these drafts. I'm man enough to admit. Victory! For you once again in another draft.
4 in a row, by the way.
I know. It's because you got the Gretzky pick off the top.
This was going to be one of those ones where I feel like we had very similar ideas in putting these teams together. Whoever got first overall pick was going to win, but it's also the first time this year that first overall pick has won one of our drafts. So.
I will say, 2 different people said, how could you leave Bob Probert off your lineup? I mean,
easily.
If you had to pick like an enforcer to be on the team, but he's not going to be in the starting lineup.
Listen, Bob Probert's my guy, all right? Growing up in the era I did cheering for the Red Wings, that's my dude right there.
If I'm going to pick someone to be in the starting lineup that's an enforcer, I'm going to take Marty McSorley over Bob Probert.
It's one of those things. And even like I saw some people talking about like, oh my God, someone was like really mad that we didn't take Leach in one of our picks. I'm like, he's a great player, like all-time great player. You get 5 picks, and they're positional. You only get 3 forwards and 2 defense. Who do you replace Leach with?
I do think it's funny. There's so many people that are just like diehard Leafs fan that just like listing off people. Darcy Tucker, Brian McKay. Hey, man, I love my Leafs childhood as much as the next guy.
You're talking about every player that's ever played professional hockey is in the draft pool, and you get to pick 5 of them. Those guys are not your first picks.
There's a reason why I didn't take a single Leafs player in the greatest of all time.
Crazy. Not even one. Did you even have one as a backup?
I mean, Matthews I thought about, but I don't even think I'd put him at that level.
I think in like 10 years you can have that discussion about Matthews, but not right now.
Not until he shaves his head and we win a cup. I'm telling you. The Leafs will never win a cup until Austin Matthews commits to going bald.
The curse of the half-bald man.
Every time that hairline goes back, so do our chances of winning a cup.
Well, hopefully the curse carries over to the U.S. in the Four Nations Cup.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Around like 26 beer stores across the province will be closing at the end of the month due to the fact that Dougie Ford put beer and wine in convenience stores and stuff like that. And we've been talking about this all morning, and a few people have been wondering if beer stores closed, what would they do with the, bringing back empties? We talked about the idea like they have in Western Canada, that you can take all your recycling to like a recycling depot and return everything there. One person texted in and said, if you sell booze, you should accept liquor bottles in return, which I don't agree with that statement.
I get it from like a bird's eye view of like, well, if you're going to sell the cans, you should have to take them back in. But we were already, we've talked about this in the show, ready to go to war with anybody with more than 3 scratch tickets. Trying to check them while you're getting gas in the morning.
Imagine being at Petro-Canada, standing there in the morning, and there's some dude with a bag of empties.
Dude, some of those small gas station C-stores where they're selling like just the odd can or case. Now there's a buddy standing there with a garbage bag full of stinky beer cans?
The same dude cashing in on empties would be the same guy buying like 50 scratch-offs right after.
Well, how do you think he's paying for them? It's all the cans.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast. Would you rather Wednesday? Would you rather Wednesday?
All right, let's get weird. 762-555. You still got a would you rather question. You can send it in here. I'll start with this one. It says, would you rather never watch sports again or never watch Netflix again? I could give up Netflix easily.
I think I would give up sports.
No way.
Well, hang on.
All sports.
Hang on. Is wrestling a sport? Answer the question. Answer the question.
It's on Netflix, though.
Well, yeah, but if I have to give up sports, I assume I can't watch the sports on Netflix. They do live sports all the time.
Then, yeah, you can't watch anything on Netflix, yeah.
So then I can watch wrestling or no?
I have a hard time calling wrestling. Sport? It's not a sport, in my opinion.
Okay, I'll watch Netflix.
It's soap opera.
I'll watch Netflix.
I feel like a life without sports would be so depressing, man.
I mean, there's just so much content out there now.
I would be getting more mad at my own life.
But
because I take out all my anger on my sports teams.
But if you never watch sports again, starting today, you never watch sports again a day in your life, you would see just as many Toronto Maple Leaf Stanley Cups.
What am I going to talk about with my friends? Like 60% of my conversations with my buddies is about sports.
Maybe it's time to have a talk about your feelings.
Sports makes me feel better about myself.
Oh, okay.
All right. When they win, I win. When they lose, at least it's not me, right?
You've really got that all worked out. Right? I like that.
Someone said, would you rather be the front, middle, or end of the human centipede? I mean, easy answer. Obviously the end. I'm kidding. It's the front. It's
front. Yeah, it's always the front.
It's always the front.
It was front. And then middle, I guess?
I think the better question would be, would you rather be the middle or the end?
Yeah, I think probably... I think I would probably rather be the end. Because I then wouldn't have the guilt that I'm making life worse for somebody else.
And at least you have a little bit of wiggle room behind you.
Yeah.
You could you can move around a little bit.
Yeah. Whereas if you're in the middle, you barely exist.
You're just sandwiched.
You're a flesh PVC pipe.
That's one way to describe it. Someone said, would you rather be stuck in an elevator for a day alone?
Okay.
Or would you rather be stuck in a room with one of our great politicians? I won't say the name that they said.
I think I would at all times rather be stuck with someone else. Like, I know politicians lie and they're annoying or whatever, but at least, you could probably have a conversation with somebody over the span of a day.
I think the worst part about being stuck in a room with a politician for a day is by the end of it, you might be like, I don't mind this guy.
He's not such a bad guy after all. Yeah, I mean, I just think, you know what? Actually, if it's only for a day, I could probably handle being by myself for a day.
Yeah.
Any longer than a day, I would want the other person.
I just wouldn't want to go to trial for murder by the end of it. All right, we'll wrap up with this one here. It says, would you rather be Spider-Man or Batman?
Well, I mean, either way, I don't get parents, so that's tough.
I mean, Batman's rich, right? But then he's obviously depressed because he feels the need to be a vigilante.
Spider-Man has infinitely cooler powers. As a superhero...
If you're looking at powers,
Spider-Man is better than Batman in every aspect.
How clutch would it be if you're about to drop something and just shoot a web and catch it?
Absolutely. I know that Spider-Man lives a little bit more poor and has had way more tragedy in his life, but I think I would rather be Spider-Man than Batman.
Also, Spider-Man has a girlfriend. Bruce Wayne just hangs out with his butler.
Well, I mean, traditionally in the comic books, Bruce Wayne gets it.
Does he?
He gets it. Yeah. Catwoman comes around every now and again.
Now that you bring Catwoman up.
I'm Mary Jane over Catwoman, but that's a whole different argument.
I disagree, brother.
Oh, man.
Something about leather. Anyways.
What an informative episode of the program.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Ed's word of the day.
Let's see what he's got.
Good morning. Yeah, today's word. Petrichor. 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 And it's a distinctive, pleasant smell of rain falling on warm, dry earth. It's fucking raining. Shut the fuck up.
Whoa.
Anyway.
Whoa, dude.
Easy, man.
I don't know. I'm just in a mood today. Have a great one. Cheers.
The hell is that? What is that about? So the smell of rain is petrichor?
Yeah, if it's been dry for a while and then it rains and you get that, earthy smell in the air.
Yeah.
That basically when people talk about the smell of rain, that's what they're talking about.
Okay.
And I don't know specifically if petrichor is a thing or if it's just the word we decided to use to describe that smell. Like how something can smell sweet or stinky or odorous or petrichor, I guess.
Petrichor.
It feels like a lot of word for a very specific way to say it smells wet.
If you've got that buddy who's been in a bit of a dry spell and he finally gets some action.
That's
petrichor.
He finally hits his home run.
He walks in the door, you can smell him.
Dude, imagine your buddy who's been going through it finally meets somebody and then walks in and you all go, oh, smells like petrichor in here. That's rough, my dude.
Petrichor. Use it wherever you can today.
For more Brock and Dalby, tune in weekday mornings 5:30 to 9.
The Brock and Dalby podcast is brought to you by badshop.ca, the Brock and Dalby merch store, with all proceeds going to the Canadian Cancer Society.